I have seen the nations that suffered genocide, and I realized 80% of them were destroyed by white men. This is not just history. This is the story of blood and sorrow. The story of how civilization became a weapon of destruction. The Tasmanian people, a nation erased, on an island near Australia, lived the native Tasmanian people. When the British arrived, they called them savages. By the end of the 19th century, the entire nation was gone. Thousands reduced to dozens. Their last woman, Truganini, was turned into a specimen for science. That was not progress. That was extermination. Africa, the continent that bled. When Europeans came to Africa, they said they came for gold, but they left behind rivers of blood. King Leopold II of Belgium turned Congo into a land of horror. 10 million Africans died, starved, mutilated, enslaved. In Namibia, German soldiers slaughtered the Herero and Nama people, creating the world's first concentration camps. Hitler later copied their methods. Asia, the forgotten wounds. The British ruled India for 200 years. Millions died of famine, while ships carried Indian grain to London. The Bengal famine, a man-made tragedy. Winston Churchill himself said, "Indians breed like rabbits," and Russia brought its empire to Asia with fire and chains. The Siberian tribes, the Kazakhs, the Tatars, the Chechens, all faced exile, starvation, and death. Northern Europe, the silent destruction of the Sami. Far in the Arctic, the Sami people lost their voice. Their lands were taken, their language banned, their spirits broken. Churches baptized them by force. Schools erased their culture. Their identity slowly disappeared. Ireland, the hunger and the chains. The British Empire's cruelty did not stop at its own doorstep. In the 19th century, Ireland starved. 1 million people died, while ships full of food sailed to England. Another million fled their homeland forever. It was not just famine, it was deliberate neglect, a slow, silent genocide. Russia's shadow, the empire that devoured nations, the Russian Empire, and later the Soviet regime, wiped out entire peoples. Crimean Tatars, Chechens, Poles, Balts, all suffered deportation and death. And on the Kazakh steppe, a man-made famine destroyed half a nation. An entire culture starved to death under the banner of progress. The Americas, the greatest loss of all. Then came the ships across the ocean. White men called themselves discoverers. They said they brought faith and civilization, but what they brought was fire and disease. Millions of Native Americans were hunted, enslaved, erased. Their villages burned, their women violated, their children died from hunger and plague, and when they were gone, their killers called it victory. Civilization, or crime, Europe calls itself the cradle of civilization, but everywhere its flag was planted, tears and ashes followed. Tasmanians, Africans, Indians, Kazakhs, Native Americans, all vanished under the same sun. White men built cities, empires, machines, but they also wrote the darkest chapters of human history, and no matter how bright their monuments shine, the ghosts of the forgotten still whisper in the wind.